I'm Dan Drake. This is Visitor Network TV and Channel 99. With us today is Bob DeCosta,
Dan?
member of the Board of Selectmen, fisherman, and doing a lot of other things besides. But you're finishing up, or you're coming close to the end of your first term as selectman. You have announced your intention. Have you filed the papers yet?
I haven't filed them yet. I have a few more signatures to get this week.
But you will file your papers for a second term as selectman. What I'd like to do is sort of review the highlights and lowlights, if you will, of your first term, and then talk about what you hope to accomplish in another term.
Well, you know, it's funny that the first term's an interesting one, because the first year you're almost just trying to get a feel for what's going on, you know, and then you really start to get your feet wet, so to speak. I mean, I'm sure you went through it when you were first going to the airport commission. It's the same type
I'm still going through it.
Yeah, in some respects, so am I. But at least I understand the mechanics of it now. And then you start to see, you obviously, everyone has certain projects that they're passionate about, and then you go from there, and that's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to run for one more term. No matter what, this is going to be it. If I get reelected, it'll be one more term and done. I think 2 is, for me anyway, is going to be more than enough. But
it's very time-consuming.
It is. I mean,
and to some degree, enervating.
You know, before I decided to run, I went to almost every FinCom meeting there was, so I got my head around that part of it. And I talked to other selectmen, past and present, who had been on the board. And they somewhat prepared me, but I don't think I was really prepared for the amount of homework that I have to really understand and make what I think is an intelligent decision. You know, I'm sure there have been selectmen in the past that just kind of winged their way through it, but for me, I really want to do the research on both sides of an issue so that I get to the point where I'm comfortable making a decision. And you know, on average, it's 15 to 25 hours a week of reading, homework. My wife and I joke that since I got elected, I haven't read anything that doesn't say Town and Nantucket on it in almost 3 years.
That's depressing, actually.
You know, the great thing about it now is with the e-world that we live in. You know, I bought an iPad before the town gave them out, and everyone else got them shortly thereafter, and I wanted my own because I wanted to be able to have internet access anywhere. You know, you can do that through the phone line. So it cost me a little more money each month, but I'm coming in from a trip from Great Point, and I give the mate the wheel, and I have 20 minutes, and I could go through, you know, a bunch of documents and do my reading. So you can do it anywhere you want. You know, it's amazing where you can keep moving, because, you know, the selectman job is. It doesn't pay well, so you have to still make a living doing something else.
Right.
But
you think it should pay more?
I don't know. You know, there's been discussion about that.
The chair gets $5,000, and
the rest of the board gets $3,000. You know, I think that either you pay, if you're going to pay a selectman, you should pay them enough so that they don't have another job and this is their sole job, or you leave it the way it is. To pay a selectman a couple more $1,000, I don't think really makes a bit of difference to the person who's running for the position and to the town budget. So, you know, just leave it the way it is. It's fine, you know.
What do you think some of your accomplishments have been? What are you most proud of?
I don't know if I'm proud of any one thing. I think I've tried to troubleshoot things before they became an issue. You know, things like the triathlon, where it was approved and you didn't look at all the aspects of it, and then all of a sudden we have public hearings at the 9th hour and we're threatened to cancel it. Now we've got it so it's early in the morning, and it seems to work.
It didn't have a public hearing this time on it.
We had a public hearing. No one showed.
It was at a workshop.
No, it wasn't. No, it was at a regular meeting. But anyway,
you can take that out. You can take that out.
But I believe it was at a regular meeting. I think it was. Anyway, we'll have to check that. You know, my concern is, you know, you have to balance the fact that we're a tourist town and we need people to come here with a lifestyle for the people that live here. I get concerned now that I think we're at a saturation point with events in the summertime, to be honest. I think that every weekend there's something going on, or every week, you know, you've got this charity event or that charity event or this event. And, you know, I understand that everyone's trying to raise money excuse me, and they're trying to do it during the summer months when the people with the money are
in
here.
Palm Beach, they call them the disease balls.
Yeah.
They have them every night, not every weekend.
I just would like to see, maybe 1 or 2 weekends where we didn't have something going on. I think we're saturated with festivals, to be honest. I think we're at the point where I don't think we could fit too many more in unless we started having them this time of year, which
Right.
would be great if you could get people to come here in February and March. But my biggest concerns is water quality, the harbor issues, especially eelgrass, nitrogen loading. I think we're in the right place now with the comprehensive wastewater management plan. It's coming along. We're starting to get the reports, figuring out what we're going to do about Matticat and how much of it we need to sewer. And I think it's looking like we're going to be able to run a pipeline from Matticat and not have to build a treatment plant out there. I believe that we're going to have to sewer at least sections of Hummock Pond, the Hummock Pond watershed as well, to clean that pond up. And probably some more sections of the harbor. We're going to get the jetties up higher next year. I think that's going to make a big difference. So
What about the initiatives on fertilizer and so forth? Should those be given some teeth?
Yeah, and that's in the process of happening now. We need to get more on that. It's a lot of it is finding someone to enforce the regulations and working with the new Board of Health to do that,
and working with the vendors.
Exactly, and getting the landscapers on board to where they're comfortable with it. It sort of reminds me of the no discharge zone in the harbor. When that first went into play, everyone balked about it, complained about it, and now it's kind of an automatic thing. I mean, I believe, I don't know the exact number, but I believe that Nantucket Harbor pumps more raw sewerage at pump outs between the town pier and the boat basin than any other harbor in the country, which is pretty amazing when you think of it. And I know the boat basin is set up for it where they pump right from your slip. You don't have to leave the slip anymore. So, things like that, when it first started, you always hit roadblocks, and then it becomes a way of life. Recycling comes to mind again. We go off island, and our kids, my kids' generation, that whole generation just automatically recycles, even when they don't have to, because they were brought up doing it. So I think the fertilizer thing will do the same thing. I think it will definitely help. So, I want to finish that. I want to see that come to fruition. And my other big issue that I want to work on is long-term planning for our space needs in the town. We have some aging buildings that we need to deal with, and we need to figure out where we're going to be at 25 years from now, where we want to be at. We need to build out our office space for the next 25 to 30 years.
And you have the fire station.
The fire station.
Another big issue, and
right.
You're involved in that.
Yeah, I'm on that work group, and we're figuring out now exactly what we need and where we need it. There's been just a lot of discussion. We're covering every aspect of it. We're going to be very thorough about this. We're not just going to say we're going to build it here because we have this piece of land. So we're looking at it very closely.
One of the things that I talked with the chief about was the idea of, would it be possible to use the old fire station downtown as a remote facility? His answer was probably not.
The downtown one on Broad Street?
Yes.
No,
it's just not big enough.
It's not big enough
for the equipment of today.
Right. And to be honest, we need that building for office space. As I envision the whole project, I believe that you take 20 South Water and you either renovate
the old fire station.
The old fire station. You either renovate that building or you tear it down and build a new building there that replicates what's there. You tie that into the 20 or 16 Broad Street, and you keep the courts and town administration and the sheriff, and you bring finance back to that building. So all of that section of town government is together there in the core.
Why would it not make sense to move the courts out to for fairgrounds, particularly if you're going to be doing other construction out there? Just so then you could really concentrate the town. You have the issue of another activity downtown, which is sort of something in favor of
I guess the question is, what would you bring back down?
Well, if you're looking for space for finance and so forth.
Well, you could fit finance and the courts into those two buildings. There'd be plenty of room there to do that. You could either take the courts and the registry and the sheriff and put them all in the 20 South Water and put finance above 16 Broad, or leave the courts where they are now and put finance in 16 Broad and attach the two buildings with an enclosed breezeway. I would definitely also like to upgrade the Visitor Services Center, and that definitely needs to stay downtown. Plus, I believe can stay right where it is. It works better for the building community to be on that end of the island and not have to deal with the traffic, because when a carpenter comes into town to get a
Plus being planning land use.
Planning land use. Yeah, when a carpenter or electrician or a plumber comes into town to get a permit, especially in the summer, it's impossible. He can't find parking. He just wants to get his sign off and go, or making his appointment and go. So take two fairgrounds and either tear that building down or renovate it, and then bring the fire station probably out to 4 fairgrounds in some capacity, and possibly have a remote station somewhere else if that's what the plan calls for. If you did all that, it's a substantial amount of capital expenditure, but it's going to take you out for the next 25 to 30 years.
If you exclude the sewer issue, I believe the number that's being talked about between the schools and the town is something like 175 million in capital.
I don't think that's
right?
what they're talking about, but I believe that number is pretty high. You've got basically 3 buildings for the town. You've got the fire station, you've got 2 fairgrounds, you've got 20 South Water. I can't imagine that those are going to cost more than, and this is my number, this isn't the town's number, 30 to 35 million. And then you've got the sewer and storm drains, and that's really your big capital expenditures.
The big one, yes.
And the sewer, if we don't have to build a treatment plant in Matticat, and we can put a force main in to the Surfside plant, that's a big savings. So I think we can do that. Those are the big expenditures. I worry about when I see town meeting having overrides like you have this year for the Egan property and for the FAA property, where people vote from their heart and they vote, there's this nice little piece of land up by the cemetery and we should keep it. Well, it's $7 million. Well, that $7 million, you start adding that into all of your capital expenditures, and all of a sudden now your debt level starts to get around the 15 or 12 to 15%, which is our max. And then when you do need to borrow money for these other projects, you run into these stumbling blocks.
Yes.
Tobias brought up, if we're going to buy this land, that maybe we should do it as a one-time capital expense and just everyone get assessed their percentage of the property. That may not be a bad idea, because it keeps our debt level down to where we want it to be. So.